Hello, everyone. I'm Kaneisha Grayson, founder and CEO of The Art of Applying. And today we have yet another rockstar client here to share his story of amazing success. Hi, Collins.
Hey, Kaneisha. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
We've got the cat.
My cat Echo says hello as well.
Hi, Echo. Hi, Echo. What a cute cat. He looks just like my cat that I had growing up. All right. And we're going to smell his tail. All right. Collins. Let's start before we even tell them about who you are so that they can know why they should listen to this guy. Just tell us the results. Where have you gotten in? And then I hear there's some money too.
Mm-hmm. There is. So it's been an interesting process. Coming from my background, I never would have expected to get into these schools. But as I started to apply, I ended up whittling it down to 5 schools. So I started, I think, with 11 or 12?
Yeah.
And then I whittled it down to Northwestern, Wharton, University of Virginia, Cornell, and University of Michigan. And got into all of them except for Wharton. I'm still waiting to hear back. They have a delayed deadline. And so that process in and of itself of actually, going one step further down the line, waiting to hear from Wharton has been very interesting, but it's been really good. So all in on the schools, never imagined that I actually would. It's really, it feels incredible, and especially with such good schools. But got into all of them and waiting to hear back from Wharton on second.
Fantastic. And are all of these programs Executive MBA programs?
They are. And it's interesting. When I started this process, you actually kind of opened my eyes to making it about more than just the executive programs. I think my timing is right, though. I'm 11 years into my career, and I recently made a switch into a different industry. And so naturally, it makes sense for me to go back. But at this point in my life, it really doesn't make sense to give up those 2 years. But I had that on the back end. So it's kind of weird. It was actually a huge point of comfort knowing that, okay, if this route doesn't work, there's this route, which is a higher probability, which you and I walked through, and I think one of our first calls.
Yeah, wonderful. Fantastic. So we've heard some good news about getting in. Let's talk about the money. So you got some money from somewhere.
I did. I ended up getting a scholarship from University of Virginia, Darden School, and it was really interesting. All it took was just going back to them and asking, can I get some scholarship money?
Can I have some money?
Yeah, money.
Yeah, and so how much is it?
It's not huge. It's $15,000, but that $15,000 is still $15,000.
$15,000. So one thing, Collins, I like to show people and tell people, which I was told when I was applying to grad school, or maybe by the school, I don't know. But every $10,000, approximately every $10,000 that you can take on less in student loans is $100 less per month you will pay back in student loans for 10 years.
Isn't that crazy?
So for you, that'd be $150.
Exactly. It's a ton of money. I mean, it adds up really quickly, too. You get it, the compounding interest. That's
right.
It's huge.
That's right. Echo is like, I'm in this video.
She's like, where am I? Where am I? Here I am.
There she is. All right. So now let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Sure. And I want you, Collins, to share as much specific information about your profile that you're willing to share, because people like to know, how do I measure up? So things people would like to know, if you're willing to share, is they want to know your age, they want to know where you went to college, what you studied, your GPA, and then what you got on the GMAT or the GRE. So whichever of those things you feel comfortable sharing, you could share real specifically. You could be a little bit more general, but just that kind of information people definitely want to know.
Sure, that makes sense. So my name is Collins. I'm 34. I've got 11 years of experience. I've been in the sales side. It's been about 10 years in the financial industry, 1 year as an analyst, and then 9 years on the sales side. Made a move over to Procter & Gamble for not too long, maybe 6 months, and then eventually made a move over to technology. But a little bit further background, my academic career has been kind of up and down. I started off going to a big party school, Florida State, had a great time there, too good of a time you could really argue. And I remember sitting down with my parents, and they're like, well, what do you want to do? Like, this doesn't really add up to you, so what do you want to do? And so I ended up finishing school at Georgia State. And at Florida State, I think I had like a horrible GPA, 2.5. At Georgia State, however, I ended up bumping that up to, I think, a 3.5, which was a miracle in and of itself. And it's really interesting. After 11 years of experience, of working experience, I just kind of assumed that those would come back to haunt me, when in fact I think they really kind of helped me stand out to a lot of different schools, and here's why. As I wrote those essays with the help of my consultant, of course, there's always...
I just want to jump in there. I don't want everyone to know we don't write the essays. He means the help with like what to write about, and then her editing and giving guidance. Just be clear, we don't help write in any way.
Thank you, Kaneisha. Good point. No, it's so true. I mean, like, these were my essays. They were important. They came from the heart, but it was interesting. It was a great opportunity for me to reflect on the things that happened and communicate them to the programs. And so I think the way that I did it, with the help, not, full resolve of my consultant, was huge. I mean, it was gigantic. I can't begin to tell you what a difference it really made. And so it was just a great experience, for a number of different reasons. But the biggest one is that, it really made me reflect on my experience and how that led me to where I am, and kind of tell that story. And my consultant was incredibly important in helping me get there. So it was a really positive experience.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. So, Collins, tell the viewers or the listeners or the readers how you found out about the art of applying, and what made you take the leap to reach out and have a breakthrough call.
Oh, for sure. My friend Leah is your good friend.
Yeah.
And I know Leah through my wife, Sam, who's leaving. Bye, sweetie.
Bye, Sam.
Kaneisha says goodbye.
Bye, Kaneisha.
So anyways, okay. I'll get back on track in a second. So anyways, Leah had told me about you a while ago, and she was just like, if you want to go to a really good school, you need to talk to Kaneisha. And so, I thought about it, and it was really interesting. It was at this time in my life when I had made a career transition. I had worked in finance for 10 years, and I was switching over to something radically new. And I just realized, like, if I really want to get to where I want to go, an MBA is a vital step in getting there. Mm-hmm. And so she said, if you want to go to one of the top schools, you need to talk to Kaneisha. And it's interesting. I talked to a few friends who have their MBAs from top tier schools. And I asked them, like, what would you suggest? It all said the same thing. Go to the best school that you possibly can. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking to myself, well, my grade's not the best. So maybe I could use some help in this. And so I reached out to you, and then I spoke with your onboarding breakthrough coach. And I was just kind of sold from day one. It's a great experience. I have no regrets over it.
Okay, fantastic. So let's talk a little bit about the breakthrough call, because you're actually in sales. So I would love to hear about what you expected the breakthrough call to be like, and then what it was actually like.
It's interesting. I think this entire process has been kind of one of me assuming the way it will be and it being totally different, which in a lot of ways is a story of my life. But it's interesting. I wasn't sure what to expect. You had highly recommended Sam be on the call, and that was important to me. All the schools I've gotten into have been great about that too, making sure that Sam is included in it, because it's two decisions.
That's right.
And so getting on the call, I wasn't sure what to expect. I wasn't sure. I had no clue what to expect. I just kind of thought it would be a check the box call, when in fact it was something totally different. It was the opportunity for your organization to get to know me, and for me to get to know your organization. And it just couldn't have worked out any better. I thought it was a huge call to help me understand and really articulate and verbalize where I am and where I want to be. And it was pretty powerful for me. And I actually kind of I used a lot of the material that we discussed in that call in a lot of these essays, and I think it was really helpful.
Fantastic. Was there any, talk to us about the doubts and fears you had. You made the commitment to work with us. Let's talk about the money. It's a big investment. How did you feel about making a big investment for what, on your end on our end, it feels 100% certain that as long as you do what we say, it's going to work out. So we feel great when we invite someone to work with us and they say yes, but I know there can be fear on the side of the client to be like, wow, I'm making this big investment. Is it going to work? So talk to us about the doubts and fears.
I mean, I never really had many doubts, and I never really had many fears. That's just kind of how I think. And if I get into Wharton, that's where I'm going to go. If I don't, I'll probably go to University of Virginia. They've been beyond generous. I mean, $100 a month for 10 years. That's a lot of money.
$150 a month for 10 years.
150. Thank you. It's interesting. The way I thought about it is, if I'm going to be paying $150,000 to $200,000 for my education, this is a very small amount to be going into it. And so if it's going to help me get into the school that I really want to go to, and that school is going to help me get to where I really want to go to, then what is it really? It's like, it's 7.5% to 5% of the overall cost of an education, and it gets me there. I mean, for me, I hate to say this, but the value of the brand is gigantic, and getting into a top tier school can really change the trajectory of your career path. I know it certainly has for a lot of my friends. And so, and my wife included, she's an NYU grad.
Fantastic.
But, for me, not many doubts, not many fears. I just knew that my biggest struggle is organization. You guys are clearly well organized. And so for me, it was just kind of a no-brainer.
Okay, fantastic. So talk to us about the experience of working with your consultant and being in the program. What were some of your favorite parts about just actually applying with us?
Man, my consultant was amazing. I was doing an essay for University of Virginia. I think it was the third essay. And so I submitted it, and I'm like, this is great. And at the very top, she just put, Collins, you're not answering the question. And so for me, like, if I'd done that on my own, I'd been like, you know what? I got this.
Yeah.
And they probably would have read it and been like, what is this guy smoking? But because of the fact that, my consultant pointed it out, it was really easy. And then on top of that, she just gave me a ton of confidence to know what I was doing, where I was applying. I don't know. I mean, there was just something about my consultant's help that was pretty invaluable and kind of hard to describe at the same time, because it's not just the essays, it's not just this, it's not just the interviews, it's how do you get collected toward it? What do you do to get to the point where you feel comfortable with it? And I think that's really a huge point of confidence. It's the comfort that my consultant built in me and the confidence she inspired in myself. So, I mean, kind of a roundabout way of answering it, but I think it was invaluable. And it just took so much off my plate too. That's the other thing. When you're applying to, a dozen different schools, let's just say, you have so many different things to focus on. If you can take 3 or 4 things off your plate, I mean, your burden is lightened considerably. That's exactly what my consultant did.
Excellent. One thing that just occurred to me is we didn't get your test score. Are you open to sharing that?
Yeah, of course. So I ended up taking the executive assessment, which was like the mini GMAT. My equivalent score for like the GMAT, for instance, would probably be like a 680.
Okay, got it. Okay, that's helpful. And how did the executive assessment work out? I've not looked into it a lot. It's
pretty interesting. They say you have to study for 20 hours for it. I would recommend studying at least 40 hours for it.
All right.
I thought I was good at standardized tests until I started studying for it. And then, all of a sudden, my first practice test, it's like, Oh God, I've got a lot to improve on here.
Mhm.
But the truth is, I mean, after I spent some time working on it, after I took a kind of a crash course through Empower EA, and I was also using Magoosh at the same time, and between that, as well as your study guides and the material that you provide, and it was pretty easy actually.
Okay.
And then on Saturdays, the test prep guide was huge for me.
Okay. Oh, tell us more about that. So, for everybody watching, we have in-house test prep tutors. We're not like a test prep company. You can't, at least at the time of making this video, you can't buy a la carte test prep from us. You have to be in the application accelerator in order to have access to our test prep tutors. But we have weekly Q&A calls where you can come and ask the test prep tutor questions, get encouragement on time management, organization, not to get tricked by the obvious wrong answer, that kind of thing. So Collins, I would love for you to just kind of talk about those Saturday calls and what those were like for you.
They're huge. I mean, anytime you're taking kind of like an online platform, they could say, well, email us at any time. Well, if they're getting back to you 24 or 48 hours later, out of sight, out of mind. And so what I would end up doing is I'd find myself kind of hung up on a topic. And consistently, I made it a point to try to track as much as I possibly could. Mm-hmm. But I would consistently find myself hung up on a topic and then go to the test prep. And it's really interesting. People who take advantage of the test prep, I think it will end up providing a huge advantage. But I basically went to them and said, I'm consistently having problems with this. Here's an example of it. I can't seem to get here without, this video instruction of it. And even after the video, I really don't get it. I can do the work, but I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so the test prep tutor was huge. I don't know who you hire. I don't know where they come from, but they're pretty smart and they know what they're doing. Oh man, another one.
Oh, a different cat.
Yeah, we've got a different one now.
Who's this?
This is Boots. Say hey, Bootsy.
Boots wants to be in the interview too.
I know, he really does. I've got like 15 cats, so
there we go.
Probably see a cycle.
Yeah.
But anyways, the test prep was huge, more for understanding process than anything else. And when you take a test, it's all about understanding the process, and it was invaluable.
Excellent, excellent. So I'm going to talk about some other things in the program. Totally fine if they weren't the thing you use the most, but I'm just curious. Did you make it onto many of the group coaching calls? Did you use your mindset coaching calls? Anything like that? Or did you really more focus on the test prep and working with your consultant?
Test prep and consultant for
me. Awesome.
I try to make it a point to meditate as often as I can, which isn't as often as I should. Yeah. But I thought I kind of had that part taken care of. But for me, it was really about the test prep. But it was about the writing, and it was about. But basically, the best way I can put it is trying to find the best ways to market myself.
That's right.
And that's exactly what these schools, I think, are looking to do.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else you would say to someone who's like, I went to a state school for undergrad, my grades are not amazing, and like, how am I going to get in? I'm a regular guy. I like myself. My mom really likes me, but like, can I really get into these schools? Is it worth investing in getting help, or should I just kind of try and do it on my own and see what happens?
Man, I totally relate to that. My mom also likes me a lot. You could say she's my biggest fan.
I bet she is.
I know, right? No, I mean, I'd say make a point to invest in yourself. I mean, regardless of which schools you get into, if you really want to go to Harvard, but you end up getting into University of Chicago, it's a great school. If you really want to go to University of Chicago and you get in somewhere else, just go to the best place that you possibly can. It's about the network you develop there. It's about what you learn there. I mean, those are the things that really count, and those are the things you'll carry with you. So, and it's interesting. I would say if somebody has doubts about it, ask yourself the question, what do I really know about this process? What do I really know? What do these people know that I don't? And the answer is a lot. I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, you know a lot more than I do about it, and you all probably always will. But that's helpful. I mean, we need expert guidance. And so if you're looking for somebody to guide you through this process, to help you go from point A to point B, this is a great solution for it. And I have no regrets over the decision I made or the monies that I spent. This was all an investment in myself.
Beautiful. I'm so proud of you, Collins. I'm so excited for you. And I want us to chat just for a few minutes after the interview, because we're going to take that 15K from Virginia and we can talk just really briefly about how we can parlay that into maybe some more money from the other school. So we'll talk about that just for a few minutes. But yeah, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing your story, and we'll talk right now.
Sounds good.
Thanks for watching our video. For more videos just like this, make sure you click subscribe. And if you want to work with us on your graduate school applications, visit us at theartofapplying.com or click on the link below in the description.